Yo guys, what's going on? My name is HackingIsFreedom and welcome to the 20th episode of What Was Cut, a series where we take a look at what exactly was cut from our favorite games. Today we're going to be talking about Ghostbusters, the video game. I played this way back in 2009 on my first Xbox 360 and I really enjoyed it. Because it was so long ago, I don't remember if I actually completed the game, but I do know I sunk a lot of time into it. I'm such a big fan of the movies, so I knew I'd like the game. The actors are just legendary, and Bill Murray's one of my favorites. Anywho, let's bust some ghosts and figure out what was cut.
Bustin' makes me feel good.
As always, textures are up first, and we surprisingly don't have that many. This first texture sheet belongs to a cut ghost viewer feature that would have been included in the final game. You would have been able to view all of your ghosts here that you've caught throughout the game, and I do talk about this more later in the video. These two textures are early button layout screens that would have been shown in the demo version of the game. These are obviously placeholders because they're missing all of the text for the controls. This texture here is also just a temp texture, although this one is pretty unique. Most temp textures from game studios don't have outsource on them, they usually just have temp or no text written on them at all. This texture of a lock seems to be the exact same image from the PS3's trophy menu. However, it's found in both the Xbox 360 version and the Windows version as well. This could just be a temp texture used for something that the player needed to unlock. This texture is a UI image of an old enemy that was supposed to appear in the cut level Thanksgiving Day Parade, and it's called Blinker's Boss. Nothing really else is known about this so-called boss, though. This image here was used as a temp loading screen in earlier builds. You can see that this picture was taken in some sort of test map, which is really cool to see because all of the test maps have been completely removed from the final game, leaving just little bits of code left, which I do talk about later in the video. Lastly, these 6 screenshots are from 3 different films, those being Ecto-1, resurrecting the classic car, which actually released 10 days before the launch of this game, the Ghostbusters movie obviously, and a movie called Year One, which is a Jack Black movie. I'm not really sure why or how this snuck into the game files, but these screenshots were reused in the remastered versions with clips of each movie, except for the Year One again. While still on the topic of textures, let's go over some concept art. So these 7 images are concept art of parade floats from the cut Thanksgiving Day Parade level. There's quite a few ghost concepts as well. Most of these were also going to appear in that parade level. My favorite by far is the marching band ghosts. I just think they look really cool, and it seems like this level was going to be massive with how many characters were supposed to be in here. There's some concept art for a character called Blinkers the Science Pup, which also features a few of his friends. I really like this art style, so I think these are really cool. The character design kind of reminds me of a mash between Oswald and Felix the Cat. Out of the 4, I think Slacko the Street Dog is my favorite. There's also concept art for a Super Dog balloon, which was most likely for the parade level as well. This concept art is of the parade level itself, and you can see it would have taken place in Times Square. I have no idea what this green thing is though, it kinda looks like a giant green SpongeBob.
I got better things to do than be your test monkey.
Finally, this concept art here shows us another piece of the cut Thanksgiving Day Parade level. This is the interior of Ray's Occult Books, and it's unknown how it would have been used in the level. My personal guess is this area was used to activate or retrieve something the player needed to progress. All of these concept images were supposed to be unlocked when progressing through the game, but the developers cut them for whatever reason. As for cut models, we only have a few. The first cut model I'd like to show you is labeled as Ambusher Fiend. The one on the left is the actual model, but the one on the right is a UI image of the same creature. So I'm not really sure if the UI image is a newer design or if it's just a placeholder. The UI design sorta looks like Jigsaw, but just a lot taller. I personally like the actual model a lot more than the UI image. With some textures, you can make that model look super creepy. Remember the concept art for the marching band ghosts? Well, they didn't seem to stray too far from the concept design when creating the model. Again, this looks so cool. I would have loved to see these ghosts used in game. Remember the concept art of the Super Dog balloon? Well, a model exists too, as well as models for 3 other balloons. Those being this frog-looking thing labeled as Green Puppet, a purple cat, and a balloon of the so-called Blinkers boss I mentioned earlier in the video. There's also a model of a ghost labeled as Clown Ghost, and I'm pretty sure this was going to be used in the parade level as well. I really like this design too. Finally, there's another model of a ghost labeled as Order of Pelican Shriner Ghost, or simply Shriner Ghost. And I'm not sure if this was only going to be used in the parade level or not, as I can think of a few other places that this ghost could have appeared. Now let's go over the various removed cutscenes, and a lot of these are quite interesting. So since we've been talking about the cut parade level, there's 2 cutscenes from this level, which actually gives us a small glimpse at what the level was all about. This first one was supposed to play before the Blinkers boss fight.
Here to tell me why my library, museum, and parade are all going down the toilet?
I keep telling you, sir, the Ghostbusters are nothing but scam artists determined to throw a negative light on you and the city, and extort you for more money.
Hello, Peck. I own that suit in blue.
Both of you, pipe down!
Mr. Mayor, an enormous event is on the horizon.
Something at the museum exhibit triggered a systemized psychic occurrence. Some mechanism we don't know the nature of yet.
No, of course you don't.
but it's feeding enormous energy somewhere.
Something that's now in the process of breaking down the walls between our world and another one.
This other world is crossing through into ours. It started with simple ghosts and animated monsters.
Now it's getting bigger. We don't know exactly what's next, but there's only room for one city here in this dimension.
Two physical worlds can't exist in the same space. That's just elementary particle physics.
We got a glimpse of the other world, Jock. It ain't pretty. It's like Brooklyn and the Bronx, with no Queens in the middle.
Whole city blocks sinking into a fifth-dimensional abyss.
Cockroaches the size of polo ponies.
Pal, you've been there. You want to pipe in? No? All right. You go ahead, you got.
Panic in the streets.
How'd you like disco to come back? Bigger than ever.
I get it. We're in trouble. So what am I supposed to do?
We need to prepare the city for the worst.
The city's my responsibility, not yours. Now go do your job and stop that thing. Ah! Get the hell away from me!
You can see it wasn't quite finished yet. The background elements are in real low quality, that giant blinkers balloon just pops into frame and it clips through the building near the end, and the effects for the vomit doesn't seem to exist near the end either. A lot of dialogue in this cutscene was reused in the cutscene that plays during the museum level, and that's probably why you still hear the mayor mention a parade in the final game. This second one would have played at the end of the level after defeating blinkers. Once again, most of the dialogue, as well as some camera shots, were reused in the ending cutscene for the museum level.
That's it! He's ours!
That's the last straw. I should have shuttered you fraudulent gangsters forever when I had the chance. You know what? I'm going to put an end to this madness now. Right now. I'm shutting down your containment grid for good. You can kiss off a permanent license, not to mention any chance for more government contracts. You did this to me. And you're going to pay.
You're welcome, you peck.
All right, that's it. That's it. You're done, smart guys. You are done, smart, cool guys. I have the authority, and I'm shutting you and your phony containment grid down now. The whole city will have to pay because of your shenanigans. The whole city.
What? But that shuts you down, too.
Well, so be it. I have bigger fish to fry. And get him off me!
I think we need to keep an eye on him.
You think?
No, I mean, we really need to keep an eye on him.
This second cutscene was supposed to play at the start of the museum level, and it shows a news anchor reporting on the opening of the Gozer exhibit.
That's despite, and in some cases because of, last night's terrifying Stay Puft attack and today's disturbance at the public library, both of which were contained by our own heroic Ghostbusters. And the stars are out tonight. Curiosity and bravery are pulling the city's glitterati to attend the gala and exclusive opening of the new Gozerian exhibit at the Museum of Natural History.
This next one is very interesting because it's in such an early state. This cutscene was supposed to be an introduction to the kitchen golem boss in the Sedgwick Hotel, but for some reason it was just never finished.
Guys, time to back away slowly. No, make that fast!
This cutscene is a super early version of the second cutscene that plays in the Central Park Cemetery level.
You saw them too, didn't you? They think they're sneaky. Let's spread out and flank them.
This next one is an early version of the Stay Puft in Times Square cutscene, and it features additional dialogue from Peter Venkman reminiscing about Times Square's past. Winston also has an additional voice line that plays near the end of the cutscene that was also removed from the final game.
Times Square post-urban renewal. All shiny and clean. I love it.
Personally, I miss the bars, adult shops, and bookstores. Where has our history gone?
New Jersey.
I gotta go over there. Say, is that him?
It's hard to miss.
How
close do we have to get the big trap for reeling in?
A lot closer than this.
Hey guys, the big pup is getting fidgety over there.
What's he up to now?
He's looking for something.
Is he looking for something or someone?
This last one I also think is really cool. This is an early sketch version of the cutscene that plays when the Ghostbusters are separated on Shandor Island. Some of this dialogue was heard in a stylized version of this game that released on the Wii and the PS2, but it was removed from this version for some reason.
Hey, where'd the caddy go? Yo, Cool Breeze, come on out.
Peter, behind you!
Binkman! They got Binkman. I'm going after him.
No, there's too many of them.
No!
I'm sure you noticed that the cultist ghosts appear here. That's because they were supposed to be the main enemies of both Shandor Island and Central Park Cemetery, but the developers decided to cut them from Shandor Island. Most of these early cutscenes can still be found in the files of the Xbox 360 version, but I'd like to thank Saki720, I hope I pronounced that right, for originally documenting these early cutscenes, as well as for the various other cool things they found in this game. If you'd like to see more unused and interesting stuff in Ghostbusters, I highly recommend checking out their channel. Link will be in the description. The cut maps are up next, but sadly, we only have remnants of text strings left. I really would have liked to check out some of these test maps for myself, but sadly, they've all been removed from the final game. Anywho, this first level has quite a lot of text strings left over, and it's called Zero Hallway Test Internally. So this was probably designed in the Cedric Hotel, and most likely used most of its assets. Judging by the text, it seems to be a general test map containing various NPCs to test behavior and text prompts. The text for the Hispanic maid in this level seems very stereotypical, and it was probably only used for this map. There's some text strings for a map simply called Zero Test, and by the top text, it seems like it was a dialogue test map. There's very little left over for a test map called Health Meter Demo, and as the name suggests, this was most likely used to test the health meter mechanic. From the leftover text, this next map seems very strange. It's called PKE Test Internally, and it seems to be a map containing collectible ham as well as random facts about ham. Like how to cook a ham, the sickness you can get from eating undercooked ham, what ham actually is, and many more. I guess the developers really fancied their ham. All ham aside, this map was most likely for collectible and text testing. The final test map is called Combat Test Internally, and I'm sure we can guess what this was used for judging by its name. However, there are two interesting things to note here. This map references a knight and a cupid enemy which have been completely removed from the final game. I wonder what they would have looked like. It's time for the sounds and voice lines, and we've got quite a lot to go over. Let's start with the sound effects first, and a lot of these unused sounds are for a short action happening in the game. It could be anything from getting hit, to completing a task, to spotting a ghost, to pretty much anything. There's actually a lot more than I'm going to show you, but a lot of them sound very similar, so I've just chosen some of my favorites. These last sound effects were supposed to be for the cut parade level, and these first 3 were for the blinkers. There's some general ambient background sound. This next one is labeled as elevator close, so I'm guessing you would have entered an elevator at some point in this level. And the last one is labeled as billboard fall, which obviously suggests a billboard would have fallen somewhere. On to the voice lines, and we have a bunch of unused voice lines from various cutscenes around the game. And these first 3 lines were supposed to be used in the Stay Puft Times Square scene.
Guys, I'm in a 16-foot-long hearse painted like a candy cane. I'm anything but hard to miss.
We're feeling you, Ray. Egon, how close do we have to get this big trap to reel him in? He misses the old Times Square, too. Poor little sailor.
I love the mention of the Ecto-1 being hard to miss painted like a candy cane. That's an awesome voice line. We have 5 lines cut from the Stay Puft Attacks cutscene.
He appears to be after something specific.
Or someone.
Why are you looking at me?
Well, you look a lot better than the others, really.
Ted, kick your throwers to Maxie's stream and roast him. Please. We're right behind you. Literally.
5 were also cut from the Mainframe PCOC cutscene.
Oh, sorry, this is also new and exciting. PCOC, the Paranormal Contracts Oversight Commission.
Some people say our support got you elected.
Buildings in Midtown are now coated in a fast adhesing layer of sucrose crystals from their last cleanup job, sir. My recommendation is we immediately suspend their operating license.
That's not really what I meant.
Don't bet on it.
6 voice lines were cut from the Spider Witch introduction cutscene.
And you think that woman we just saw...
I don't think any photos of her exist, but I would swear on my life that was her.
Amazing! How often does she manifest inside the hotel? Has she ever made physical contact? I can't believe I've never heard of her before.
Why are you so giddy?
Don't mind him. He's passionate about his work.
Ray, I have a feeling we're about to have as much contact with her as we'd ever want. The fluxes around here were at max. She may very well be the focal point for all this activity.
4 were cut from the Central Park Cemetery cutscene.
Any guesses where we should be headed?
I'll take a stab at it. How about that creepy Gozerian-looking crypt rising from the center of this ghost cemetery? That's it. I'm gonna finally file that complaint with OSHA. Yeah, you're probably right, Vinkman.
2 were cut from the Travel to Lost Island cutscene.
Your exact words. Sorry to break it to you, Egon, but I just don't see a Mandela, ghosts, ghoulish structures, or any of the usual accoutrements of another world impinging upon our own. I wish it did, but please don't be an iceberg. Please don't be an iceberg.
7 were cut from the Escape from Lost Island cutscene.
Not a bad first day.
Ray, take us home. Quietly, please.
Shut it.
Shut up. Go, Peter, go! Jump, cadet! You have to jump! Yeah, right. How was it? Was it cool? What did it look like? Did you get any samples? How many eyes? A lot or a few? Like more than 6 or...
And finally, for cutscene dialogue, we have 16 removed from the Mayor Revealed cutscene.
Help! I'm here. Help me. Get me off this thing.
This is gravy. Cut the girl loose, close this dump up, head back downtown for sashimi.
Wait, there's something above her.
Oh, what an opportunity.
Hold up, hold up!
But the guy's tied up.
Villains don't generally do that to themselves. Can't do it, Peter. Everything points to Peck being used.
Not useless. So, in addition to being a moronic, lily-livered, petty bureaucrat...
With anger issues.
Thank you, Winston. Peck is also a stooge.
In the flesh. Not my flesh, but we make do where we can.
You think you can stop me from destroying the world? Just who do you think you are?
Egon, would you tell this 2-bit wannabe god who we are, please?
I think it was a rhetorical question, Peter.
As for individual voice lines not a part of cutscenes, we only have a few of Ray explaining different ways to capture ghosts. So we have 5 for him explaining the slime tether.
Some ghosts you can't tether trap at all. So it goes. You know, you can use the slime tether for trapping, too. You sure can. Just tag a ghost with one end of a slime tether and hit an available trap with the other end. When the slime tether contracts, zapping, instant trap ghost. Depending on the strength of the ghost, it may take multiple tethers.
5 for him explaining the stasis stream.
Now remember, this technique won't work on very powerful ghosts or ground-based entities. Hey cadet, check this out. You can auto-trap using the stasis stream. All you have to do is put a floating ghost into full stasis. Then just launch a trap under that ghost. Voila! Instant stasis trapping.
And 7 of him explaining the slam capture.
Its elegance belies its simplicity. Just capture a ghost and store up plenty of slam charge in your slam meter. Wrangle him near or over an available trap, then blam! Slam him right into the open trap. No wriggling, no squirming, just a straight, clean trap. The real experts can set up a chain slam before lobbing him into the trap. That means absolutely no wrangling at all. Remember, if the trap cone is already activated before you begin the slam trap, the trap won't work. You can only perform a slam trap when the trap cone is inactive. I tell you, Rook, one of the true joys in the profession is a beautifully executed slam trap.
To finish off the audio stuff, we have one cut music track, and it's labeled as music times 01. So we can assume this was going to be used somewhere in the Times Square level. I have no idea why this got cut though. Perhaps the developers thought it didn't fit well? As we come to the end of the video, it's time for the oddities I found throughout the game, and sadly, there's only 4 I'd like to show you. Did you know that dynamic AI crowds were supposed to be featured in the background of a few levels? Times Square and the Cut Parade level were supposed to feature this heavily. According to a developer, each NPC has its own herding algorithm to create realistic looking crowds, which is actually pretty impressive for 2009 AI. Here, take a listen.
So now we are seeing people, we have 200 people here currently running out of the church in what we call a herding algorithm. Herding is where one person decides to run and go in a place, and the next person follows the person in front of them, and so on and so on. So you see these people now have running out, half to the left, half to the right, and they decided to run and pile out into the street. What sets our crowd technology apart from other ones is that every person has individual AI.
There's some sort of cut rescue minigame or random event where you would need to save an NPC trapped in a little room like this. This is obviously very broken and unfinished, and it barely even activates to begin with. There's an unused enemy that was supposed to appear in the Lost Island level. Internally, the creature is labeled as BSP-I, but in-game, it's known as an Ori guard. From the footage, it looks like a mechanical eyeball. Nothing in the final games looks even close to this creature. It does, however, seem to be a bit unfinished, as it doesn't have a death animation, nor can you capture it. The last oddity I'd like to show you is the removed ghost viewer mechanic I spoke about in the beginning of the video. This would have been a place to view all the ghosts you've encountered and defeated throughout your playthrough of the game. This seems like a very strange thing to cut, honestly. I wonder if the developers just couldn't get it to work right. And that's all I have for Ghostbusters, the video game. As I said in my previous episode, I'm doing all spooky games this month, and you obviously can't do a spooky game series without mentioning Ghostbusters. I've put a lot of my bigger projects aside, so no worries if you don't like any of the games I'm posting this month. Some banger videos will be dropping next month. Once again, a big thanks to Saki720 for their interesting finds, and if you'd like to check them out, the link is in the description. Anywho, if you have a suggestion for the next What Was Good episode, please feel free to comment down below. With that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.